The movie begins with a depressed, middle-aged man named Bill Marks. After a long life, he now spends his years working as a flight marshal, drinking heavily to try to numb the pain caused by the death of his daughter Olivia, who could not endure the fight against cancer. While working, he stops to smoke a cigarette to relax a bit just before boarding a plane. Suddenly, a man named Tom arrives and asks if he could give him a cigarette. Tom tries to talk to him, asking where he is traveling to, but Bill coldly decides not to answer the question. Moments later, Bill monitors all the people who will be on his flight to ensure its safety. In another scene, we see him in the airport bathroom washing his hands when he is intercepted by a comrade named Jack Hammond, who belonged to another squad. Later, a girl named Bessa is introduced, sitting alone waiting for the plane. The little girl appears somewhat nervous as she got lost somewhere during boarding. Bessa is escorted onto the plane, where she meets a friendly flight attendant named Nancy. However, Becca is hesitant to board without her wristband as it makes her feel secure. Nancy appears with her wristband and kindly gives it to her, so they both board the plane. The passengers take their seats, and a man named Zach feels weak next to her. At that moment, a lady named Jen asks him if he could switch seats with her because she likes to sit by the window, to which he agrees. Moments before takeoff, Billy informs his superiors about the current situation, indicating that everything is fine. As a flight marshal, Bill must hide his identity and act like an ordinary passenger to avoid raising any alarm, since a marshal's job is to maintain the security of the plane against terrorists or any criminal acts during the flight. He cleverly pretends to be afraid of flying to reduce suspicions about who he is. He ties a blue ribbon on his hand that his daughter had given him. Jane notices the act and asks Bill about his daughter, and he tells her she is 17 years old. The plane is already very high when suddenly Bill heads to the bathroom to smoke a cigarette. Upon returning, he receives a text message from an unknown number identifying himself as one of the passengers on board. The terrorist asks if he likes cigarettes a lot. Bill already knows what is happening, so he looks around to identify the culprit but doesn't see any suspicious activity. He stands up to get a better view. However, Jen, who isn't really asleep, is seen spying on him. Bill receives another message from the mysterious passenger asking him to set a timer for 20 minutes. When the time is up, they will kill someone on the plane. Additionally, the terrorist extorts him with $150 million, providing a bank account. Bill walks through the plane and signals to Jack to follow him, while a guy named Riley watches them. Bill argues with Jack because he thinks Jack sent the messages, but Jack denies it, stating that it's impossible to kill someone and get away with it on a plane. Jack also offers Bill his phone to verify. Bill heads to the cockpit to alert the pilots about the situation. The captain says they are in the worst possible situation as they are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, meaning an emergency landing is not an option. With no escape, Bill asks the captain to contact the CIA to trace the account number the terrorist provided. Fortunately, the plane has surveillance cameras, so he asks Jenny Nancy to help detect any suspicious activity in them. While Bill sends text messages to the terrorist, they can detect several people using their phones. Subsequently, Bill talks on the phone with the security agency he works for, and at that moment, realizing he has been using his phone several times, he receives several messages. Suddenly, the terrorist proceeds to ask about his daughter, making Bill doubt his innocence. While the latter leaves his seat, Velo follows him to the bathroom. When Bill confronts him, he confirms his suspicions as the terrorist responds that he needs the money, leading to a life-or-death confrontation. During the struggle, Jack manages to destroy the evidence by damaging his phone after Bill disables it and takes the weapon away. With no other option, the terrorist breaks his neck. After killing the terrorist, Bill exits the bathroom and locks it. However, to everyone's surprise, the terrorist is still alive, and Bill receives a new message from him, saying he should not have done that since it was the first death on the plane. The terrorist asks Bill to restart his timer to play again and threatens to kill another person in 20 minutes unless he receives the money in his bank account. When he heads to the cockpit, the captain informs him that the account the hacker gave is actually Jack's account. After several events, Jack's phone, which wasn't so damaged after all, receives attack messages from the terrorist. In these messages, the terrorist mentions Jack's suitcase, which was near his seat. When Bill finally manages to open the suitcase, he finds cocaine, meaning he had mistaken Jack's plea for mercy, as Jack thought he had discovered he was carrying cocaine. With little time left, Bill organizes a search with selected people to help him monitor strange behaviors. After this, he starts screening several people who could be suspects, starting with Fajan, who turns out to be a doctor, then Riley, who identifies himself as a policeman, and finally Tom, who had asked him where he was going while they were smoking a cigarette. At the end of all the commotion, Bill receives another message from the terrorist mocking him, telling him to stop playing silly games. He also says that the next victim in the next 49 seconds doesn't have to be a passenger. Once the time is up, the plane experiences turbulence. Therefore, Bill and Nancy quickly head to the cockpit and find the captain convulsing while his colleague tries to hold him. They request help from Dr. Fajan, who isn't much help as the pilot dies quickly. The doctor reveals that it might have been caused by poisoning and, given the tense situation, introduces a software developer named Sackville. They both conclude that Zach could help trace the terrorist's phone by sending an image to his phone. Bill asks all the passengers for cooperation, but as everyone resists, he offers them a free trip on the plane. Although it's a lie, the naive passengers accept and raise their hands while Bill walks down the aisle. Suddenly, he hears a message from a passenger named Charles. Upon checking it, he discovers that he has received the same image Sackville sent to the terrorist's number. Without thinking twice, Bill brutally interrogates him. However, Charles starts convulsing and dies just like the captain due to poisoning from the pressure. Unable to handle the stress, Bill heads to the bathroom to try to calm down by smoking cigarettes and drinking. At that moment, he notices a hole that leads directly to the cockpit and proceeds to search the area, finding a blowgun that could have been used to supply the poison remotely. Quickly, the marshal inspects Charles's body and finds a needle piercing his skin, evidently used to deliver the poison. Suspicious, Bill interrogates the woman who had used the same bathroom before the captain died, and she states that Jane had used it. After that, he questions her about why she sat next to him and stayed close to him all this time. Without any evidence against her, he apologizes and tries to help once more. He grabs the terrorist's phone that Charles had in his pocket and tries to block it, causing a bomb on the plane to activate. Bill tries to think about how they could have brought a bomb onto the plane without anyone noticing. He discovers that the only way was through a flight marshal like him, since they are the only ones not searched before boarding the plane. He runs to Jack's suitcase and indeed finds a bomb inside the cocaine. After discovering the bomb, Bill exits and is intercepted by a group led by Riley, who try to strangle him, thinking he is the one causing chaos on the plane. To stop them, Bill says there is no need to fight as there is a bomb on board. Fortunately, he takes control of the situation by pointing a gun at Riley. Once everyone calms down, Bill places the bomb on the table, explaining that it is a pressure bomb, meaning it cannot be deactivated without exploding. With no options, Bill takes the bomb to the tail of the plane and places all the heavy luggage around it to reduce the blast radius. Moments later, the plane goes through turbulence because the pilot abruptly changes course to perform an emergency landing in a nearby town. Soon, Bill receives a call from the agency and puts the speakerphone on so the terrorist can hear since the money has already been transferred to the bank account. The agency also informs him about a viral video of himself dragging passengers. Bill angrily goes to the person who posted the video and grabs his phone to review the recordings. Fortunately, the guy was in front when Bill dragged Tom to interrogate him hours earlier, and it is clearly seen how Tom quickly puts his phone in Charles's pockets to avoid being exposed. With no options and already exposed, Tom attacks Riley and tries to kill him, but the gun had no bullets. Riley takes the opportunity to hit Tom, leaving him unconscious. Then Riley goes to his seat to look for more ammunition in case he needs it. But surprisingly, he is intercepted by Zach, who turns out to be another terrorist. After the struggle, Zach ends up killing Riley with a headshot. The sound of this gunshot catches Bill's attention, giving Tom the opportunity to take control of the aircraft officially while they discuss. Tom delivers his villain monologue, telling everyone how naive they are, pretending to be safe and that nothing will happen to them, which is a vile lie. The duo of terrorists plans to jump out of the plane once it is near mainland. Following the discussion, Tom gets angry and shoots his partner to keep $150 million for himself. When he is about to kill Bill in the same way, the plane experiences another turbulence, causing Tom to miss his shot and hit one of the windows, leading to a loss of pressure that puts the plane upside down. During the commotion, Bill manages to free himself and get a weapon, quickly killing the terrorist. After the incident, it seems that everyone is safe, but it turns out that Tom is still alive. They begin a fight to the death, and Bill, being smarter, realizes that the bomb's timer is about to run out. He flees and leaves the bomb activated at the back of the plane, causing it to burn when the bomb explodes. The explosion forces the pilot to perform a forced landing as the engines start to fail. The explosion also caused a greater loss of pressure, so the passengers are forced to hold on tightly to their seats. Bika, who couldn't hold on, almost dies being sucked by the turbines, but Bill and Jenny manage to save her. The movie ends when the plane manages to reach mainland, wrecked but without claiming any additional victims, and with all the passengers safe from danger.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.